Good day. Our program will begin in just a moment. Good day. Our program will begin in just a moment. Good day. Welcome to Advocacy Anywhere, powered by American Jewish Committee. Advocacy Anywhere is AJC's digital platform that enables you to engage with AJC's global expertise, content, and advocacy from wherever you are. Over 700 days after the deadliest attack on Jews since the Holocaust, there are still more than 45 hostages held in captivity by Hamas. At a moment when global attention risks shifting elsewhere, it is more urgent than ever to keep the hostages and their families at the top of the international agenda and press for their immediate release. While this issue has become deeply politicized in the US and Israel, and different families have different perspectives on the strategies to bring their loved ones home, we all agree that they must come home, and AJC is dedicated to amplifying these voices. Joining us today to share their stories are Yair Horn, released hostage whose brother remains in captivity, Dahlia Horn, sister-in-law of hostage Eitan Horn, and Yotam Cohen, brother of hostage Nimrod Cohen. Moderating our conversation today is AJC Jerusalem Director, Lieutenant Colonel Reserve Avital Leibovich. Avital, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Claire. So we are marking day 711, where 48 hostages are still in the dungeons in Gaza. Yair, thank you so much for speaking with us today. I want to begin with the first question to you. On February 26, just a few months ago, you gathered strength and gave a speech at Hostage Square in Tel Aviv. And you said, and I'm quoting what you said, I too was kidnapped on October 7th from my house, the house of Shiri, Arielito, Kfir, Yarden, and many more. There are still hostages in the tunnels, you said. Among them is my younger brother, Eitan Horn. Till Eitan and all the rest will return, I am not really here. Perhaps my body is here, you said, but my soul is not. The end of quote. What has changed since you gave this speech?
First of all, thank you for having me. And I think the big change here is that right now, it's not just me. It's not just my soul. It's every Jewish soul, every Israel soul, all together. That's the problem now. Not just me, it's everybody.
Do you feel the support of those souls around you, the Israeli people, the Jewish people? Do you feel the support?
Yes, of course. In the street, I hear people come to me and tell me we are with you, and I get a lot of hugs. It's really important, but like I said, right now it's not just my soul in Gaza, it's everybody's soul.
You and your family immigrated to Israel from Argentina for reasons of loving Israel. And I want to ask you, what kind of support, if any, are you receiving from the Argentinian government? Because we know that there were other nationalities who had some contacts with foreign governments. Is this the same case with you?
I think maybe Dalia could take this, but I was with the ambassador, with Axel. We meet also, the family also met with President Milei, but maybe Dalia can take this.
Milei, when he visited Israel a few months ago.
Yes, hi.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you. I'll just answer about Argentina really quick. So President Milei met us for the second time, and we're in contact with the government and the ambassador in Israel. I think what's one thing very important to say is that the leverage, or maybe Argentina does not have leverage on Hamas or on Israel the same, and this is not something we can say about the government of the United States and President Trump. So they're supportive, and yet in terms of practical things they can do for us, I think it's more of support and trying to raise awareness all the time. But unfortunately, not more. Even though they're open and everything we ask them, they're there for us and they support the hostage cause. And in the UN, they're going to talk about it next week, and they're going to say that nothing can happen without releasing the hostages. They're very committed to it. But we understand that the mediating countries and the leadership of the US is different.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of very impressive and amazing that the president of Argentina met you, after all, in a few-day visit that he had in Israel. I think it's quite remarkable. Yair, I want to get back to you and ask you maybe about the Israeli officials here in Israel, because we spoke of Argentina. Let's talk about the Israeli officials. I saw that in another speech that you gave just a few months ago, you said, returning the hostages should be the first thing in Israel's national priorities, which I agree with you 100%, of course. But there is no progress in the negotiations. And then you addressed your words to Minister Dermer. And you asked Minister Dermer, you invited him to the house and to meet Ruthie, your mother, your brother Amos, and yourself, and you asked him to explain to you why are you marking the holiday of Passover without Eitan. So my question to you, Yair, is, did you get any response from Minister Dermer, or what kind of responses are you getting from the Israeli officials you are in contact with? What exactly are they telling you?
Well, a few days ago, I was at the Knesset, and I told the same thing, that I invite Dermer or Netanyahu or anyone, I invite them to my mother's house in Rosh Hashanah. So this is your answer. I asked in April, in Passover, in Pesach. I ask him now again in Rosh Hashanah. So no answer.
No answer. Very, very sad to hear. Very sad to hear. Are you hopeful? Yair, are you hopeful, or how do you find hope in yourself?
One of the things that I learned in captivity, it's you never lose your hope. It's the last thing. If you lose your hope, you're done. So I am hopeful. It's hard. Today it's harder even to be hopeful. I'm hopeful and I'm scared, really scared.
I cannot agree more. I mean, looking at the operation that started a few hours ago in Gaza, I'm sure you have some thoughts about it. What are you thinking when you are reading the official announcements that the operation started?
Well, I've been there, down the tunnels, so I know how it is, and now I know how it is out here. I think it's even worst out here, because I know what happened there. When you hear the bombings and you run, and you run, and it's the same terrorist, he kidnapped me, and I need to trust him and run this way, that way. So Yeah, I'm really afraid, and right now I'm in Kiryat Gat, which is a few kilometers from Gaza. We hear the bombings from here. I don't know exactly how many kilometers we are from Gaza, but I hear the booming, and yeah, it's really scary.
Well, thank you for sharing these answers. I would like to move to Yotam. Yotam, you're the older brother of Nimrod, who was abducted from a tank that had a technical problem. Could you please tell us about Nimrod? How was he kidnapped, and what do you know about his current condition? And thank you, of course, for speaking with us today.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Thank you for the opportunity again. Nimrod is my younger brother, is 3 years older than me. He's now 21. He was kidnapped at 19. Nimrod was one of the very few soldiers who were stationed that day on the Israeli-Gazan border. He was stationed at an outpost called the White House on the southern part of the border between the two villages, Nirim and Niroz, from which many, such as Yair and Eitan, were kidnapped. He was there. There were only 4 soldiers together, more than 3 other teammates against a couple of hundreds of terrorists. So combining the massive amount of terrorists plus the fact that their tank was malfunctioning that morning, they managed to kidnap and take control over them. But about 7:30 that morning, the 7th of October, all the 4 of them were taken. Nimrod was the only one to be taken alive. The other 3 were seized by Hamas and then executed, and their bodies were taken into the Gazan border. And Nimrod, for some miraculous reason, was taken alive into Gaza. Like I said, Nimrod was 19 at the time. He was kidnapped about a year after graduating high school. He's my younger brother. We lived basically our entire lives together. We had the same hobbies, went to the same elementary school, high school, had the same group of friends. And yeah, he's a big part of our family, and we're waiting to get him back alive.
Do you know anything about his condition today?
So throughout the last 2 years, we got multiple pieces of information from the IDF intelligence, from the intelligence officers. The first ones were from hostages who were released in the very first hostage deal in November 2023. 2 hostages told us they saw him in captivity, and ever since and throughout basically the last year and a half, every couple of months, every couple of weeks, we've been getting pieces of information from the IDF intelligence. But the major and the most relevant ones we got were from hostages who came back in the last hostage deal, such as Yair, who gave us a detailed description about Nimrod and about Nimrod's conditions. And Yair, when he told us what Nimrod was going through, he gave us a lot of hope that Nimrod is surviving and that Nimrod is okay, and gave us a detailed description. And without that, we wouldn't be able to be here today that hopeful and more hopeful than we've been before. These conditions are not easy. They're suffering, terribly suffering, and they are under a constant threat of dying, either from the Hamas terrorists or by the IDF bombings, but they're surviving. And I think that this is the most important thing and the most important factor right now. They're alive, and we're fighting, all of us are fighting to get them back alive.
Thank you for this. Now we're speaking to an American audience now, and I know you're participating in meetings with officials in the US. And Dalia, of course, you mentioned the American pressure. I want to ask you, Yotam, just your reflections on these meetings you had on the US. What did you hear back? How is it different when you have meetings with officials in the US and when you have meetings with officials in the Israeli government? Is it different? Is it not different? Do you feel any kind of support? Are you still in touch with the officials? Whatever you want to share on that.
So first of all, I have to say that I haven't had any meetings with Israeli officials, Israeli
Nothing, not
ministers
even one.
or member of governments voluntarily. We had a few on the very first couple of months, including the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and other very important ministers such as Israel Katz, the current Minister of Defense. My parents met Ron Dermer and all the other ministers. And at first we tried to believe them that they're doing their very best to get the hostages and that it's really the first priority of the Israeli war cabinet. But as the time progressed, we understood that these are lies or manipulations. And the Israeli government is actively seeking to prolong the war, and with its actions and with its decision makings in the cabinets, they're actively moving towards killing the hostages. I would even dare to say that some of them take action to kill the hostages. And so there is no hope on the Israeli front. You mentioned that just today, the IDF launched the military or the ground campaign inside Gaza City, inside the Gaza Strip, in which the IDF operated almost 2 years ago. It was the first target, the city of Gaza, for the IDF to operate. And right now, with all the bombings, in which we don't know if they killed hostages, some hostages might have been killed last night. And with the fact that about 3 weeks ago, Hamas gave a positive response to the partial deal, which means that 10 living hostages, which could have included my brother or Yair's brother, and 18 other deceased hostages could have been home, and the Israeli government said no. So we see no reason talking to them. They don't listen to reason. They don't listen to our motion, to our pleading. These meetings with them are a fair tribute, but tributes aren't helpful. We're meeting with other officials, foreign officials, such as US elected officials, part of this Trump's administration, because we need the help to pressure Israel and to pressure the mediators and to pressure Hamas towards a hostage deal. All sides needs to come together to close this deal. And if the Israeli government won't do it voluntarily, then we need external force, such as countries in the EU, such as France. I met with President Macron last week, such as President Trump, which been very helpful because he helped to seize the deal, the last deal in January on this year. And so we get the information that they're doing their very best and that they're trying to get it. But I have to say that honestly, we're less than a month on the 2-year mark of the 7th of October. We're almost at October 2025, which means that my brother is almost 2 years in captivity. We had the chances to get him back. Israel had the chances to get him back. And the fact that we're still inside this very extreme war, very intense part of the war means that we still have a way to go. But we're still going to try. I'll be flying to Washington, D.C. in 3 weeks, try again for another round of meetings to do whatever we can. Like you said, we're not giving up. We're not giving up hope. This is the last thing we have. This is the strongest force that we have, and we're using it whenever needed.
Thank you. I'll just explain to our viewers that 3 weeks ago, this is what you're referring to. 3 weeks ago, the Egyptians came with a proposal in which 10 living hostages will be released and 18 not living hostages in the course of 60 years. And Israel rejected
60 days.
60 days, I'm sorry, 60 days. And Israel rejected the proposal, saying that it's either everything or nothing, more or less, either all the hostages or nothing.
I'll just correct you on the phrasing of what you said. This proposal is the very so-called the very original outline that was proposed after the last hostage deal, the so-called Witkoff outline, which was phrased by Israel and accepted by the Israeli war cabinet, and then put forth to the mediators, and then Hamas accepted it, meaning that Hamas accepted it after Israel accepted it, and Israel did not officially give an answer. to this day. They simply ignored it and bombed the Hamas negotiating team.
Right. Okay, Dalia, let me move on to you. You are Yair's sister-in-law. You are married to Amos, which is Yair and Nathan's brother. Could you try to describe to us what implications did this have on your family? Are you able to work, for example? Because I know you were very active from pretty much the first minute, which means that you stopped your life, I guess. I mean, you married, you have kids, and you devoted your entire time to this issue. I'd like to hear from you, your impressions.
So I'll start by saying that I think that we, the hostage families, are not the central part here in this story. All of us, in a way, stopped our life. Our life stopped on October 7th. And we're going to be marking 2 years from now. And I think you started by mentioning the 711 days. And I think when we all of a sudden stop and say 2 years, just stop for a second, if you could, and imagine what you've been doing for the past 2 years, what new things you achieved. Maybe you studied something, changed work, moved even countries. Maybe someone was pregnant and had a baby, like 2 years, it's a lot of time. So our life stopped, but that's not the issue right now. We are doing 24/7 what we can to bring them back, because we understand that it's not only about saving their lives, it's about saving our country. I can say that I represent more than 80% of the Israeli society. I think the exact number is about 84%. And we understand that if the hostages are not coming back very soon, and I'm talking about the living hostages coming back alive, and the deceased, of course, coming back to be buried, the Israeli nation would not be the same again, never, ever. It's about breaking the strongest DNA thing that we have, which is the mutual responsibility and pidyon shvuim, releasing hostages, which comes from the Bible, and it's about being able to live here. I cannot be, as a mother, and you mentioned I have 2 kids, one is 13 and the other one is 10. I cannot raise them in a country where I know and they know, because they've been saying it since day one. After a few weeks where their beloved uncles were not released, they ask me how come we're still staying in a country where, if God forbid something happened to them, no one is going to help them. Now, today they're 13 and 10. Back then they were 8 and 11. Go and try to understand, and try to explain those kids how they can walk safely to school, because they didn't felt like they could. So we stopped our lives, and I think we're not in this moment to speak about ourselves. It's horrible. I at first stopped working, and then I had to go back to work because someone needs to pay the bills,
Right.
because the government isn't helping enough. So we're doing all at the same time. I think one of the most significant things you can see on the hostage families is that everyone is sick, but not sick with a virus, like with serious things, because how can you handle? Yair mentioned that he can hear the bombings from Kiryat Gat. So I live in the center of Israel. I live about an hour from Gaza. And since last night, we hear the bombing. And we know that it's coming from Gaza. So just imagine Eitan and Nimrod down there. What do they think? What do they feel? Is the tunnel collapsing on them? How are they holding on to hope? What do they think about us? Where are we? 2 years. Do they feel abandoned? Do they know that we're struggling? Do they know that we're doing this Zoom right now with people on the United States just to raise more awareness and to ask you folks to help us? And I think the most important question is, how do we stop everything right now? Because the Israeli government, as Yotam mentioned, is going in a very bad direction, not signing, not agreeing to negotiate. And we need to seize this moment. There's a very narrow window of opportunity, and we need to make Bibi Netanyahu to sign that deal. We need the US administration to make Bibi Netanyahu, and Bibi is deceiving Trump as for now, and he's fooling him. And we need Trump to see that, and we need help in, making him stop. He's the only person that can save our loved ones, and by saving them, he's saving Israel for the future.
All right, I have another question, and Yotam, or Yair, whoever wants to answer. Yesterday, the mother of one of the hostages spoke publicly in Israeli media, and she said that Israeli intelligence informed her that her son was being used as a human shield in Gaza by Hamas. I want to ask you, what is your concern when you're hearing such a thing, and again, taking you back to this moment in which the ground operation in Gaza is just beginning? How do you see the situation? And you or Yotam, both of you are welcome to answer. I have to say, as a civilian, of course, it shocked me deeply, this kind of, mother thinking or being notified by intelligence that her son is being used as a human shield, and now she has to live in this situation. What are your thoughts about this?
You want to start? I'll start. First of all, just to specify the details, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the Israeli government has declared that about the intention of going into the city of Gaza. The IDF intelligence, which been in contact with us families in the last 2 years, has called very specific families and told them, now when the IDF is about to enter Gaza City, we don't know where your loved ones is, and they are in a constant threat of danger. They called specific families, specific mothers, and told them, we don't know where your son is. Your son is in an active combat zone. He might die in the next couple of hours, days, weeks, months. And I think that a week and a half ago, Hamas has released footage of hostage Gagil Badalal and Alon Hoel, which was filmed inside Gaza City, above ground. And in this footage, this video, you can tell that they're being used as human shield, and they also say so in the video. And so the IDF has confirmed that, and we know that from other intelligence sources, that Hamas took maybe a dozen hostages and spread them above ground in certain structures, in certain tents, above ground inside the where the IDF is supposed to operate, so that they will get killed because of the IDF. And so they can paint it as the IDF killing its own citizens. But the worrying part is that every single IDF official, every single Israeli official in the war cabinet, in the government, they all know that. And they've been knowing that for a couple of months. And so they're willing to risk the lives of the hostages. The less than 2 dozen hostages managed to survive this excruciating 2 years and risk the lives of our soldiers, our IDF soldiers, the Israeli Defense Force, risk them inside Gaza, which again, the IDF has operated in almost 2 years ago. After they refused to sign the deal, which again is still on the table. The Israeli government wants to, we can sign the deal right now in an hour. But this mere fact that we're living in a reality which almost feels fictional. We feel like we're living in some sort of a drama series and watching it from the couch over Netflix. But this is the reality, that mothers inside Israel are receiving calls from the army, which is supposed to protect them. It's supposed to protect us. It was supposed to protect them on October the 7th, and it failed. And calling mothers and telling them, we cannot ensure your child's safety and we as the IDF might kill him in the next couple of days. This is just an example for what we as hostage families are going through, and to the madness that Israel is going through and facing in these days. I don't think that we imagined in a million years that we'll be in such situation. Because again, like Dalia has mentioned before, the Israeli state was built on this shared principle of this mutual care and mutual responsibility between its citizens, between the Jewish people. The Jewish state was built after World War II to ensure a safe haven for Jewish people. And now that there are Jewish people taken from their land inside Gaza, and Israeli forces are the ones risking their lives on the authority of the Israeli government that is actively risking the lives of its citizens and their soldiers.
Thank you, Yotam, for sharing.
Can I add something? I know we're out of time.
Sure.
Very short. Ken, Avital?
I would just like to take the opportunity to give you the stage, Yair and Dalia, since we have so many people watching, to say some final words. What is important for you from this audience which is watching you? Dalia, you can go first. And
so I'll go very short, and then Yair will wrap up the conversation.
Sure.
I want to say for this specific audience, which I guess all of you are from outside Israel, you might be listening to us and not understanding what we're talking about. So let's not be confused. Hamas is the responsible for what's going on since October 7th. Hamas had entered, invaded Israel, abducted, burned, raped, killed, did horrible things, and they're still holding those hostages. And for us, Hamas are the same terrorists that did the horrible things, and you all saw the footage from October 7th, are still holding, as we speak, my brother-in-law and Yair's little brother and Yotam's brother and so many others. So we understand and we know that Hamas is responsible. Hamas is the worst terrorist that I think exists on earth. And we're not discussing that, but we understand that the only or the main difference between Hamas and Israel, between this extreme Islamic terrorist and the Jewish values, is that we believe in building, in life, and in construction. And Hamas are going to be terrorists over and over again. And Hamas said in many opportunities that they will do October 7th again. But Israel has the responsibility over its citizens. They have to save it. And Israel has to be the light. And the only way to struggle and to combat darkness is by making more and more and more light. And Gordon said it more than 100 years ago. So making light is saving those people, because you cannot kill an ideology that wants to destroy you, which is Hamas. And this is why we feel so abandoned by our own government, because we understand that our task is to be different, and we need to fight them with light, and light is saving life right now. And for me, this is something that it's very important to say. And as Yotam said, and it might sound crazy because Rosh Hashanah is on Monday, but Eitan can be here on the Rosh Hashanah table. This is something that can happen because this Witkoff deal is still on the table, and Israel can accept it and transform this partial deal into a comprehensive deal. But the only way of doing that is from within the negotiation table, and not from outside the room, or not by bombing those people in Qatar, which, by the way, they're the worst terrorists. I'm not trying to protect their life. I'm just saying that our task, as for now, when we're in the 10 Slichot days, so I think we all should reflect on what we can do to put more pressure. I know you guys have been putting so much effort on this issue, and AJC has been amazing with us, the families, since day one on the Hill and wherever we go. We need more. This is like the final push, as we say in Hebrew. We need you. We need this deal to be signed right now. We need President Trump not to give on his own deal, which is the Witkoff deal, We just need that to happen. And then we'll rebuild and have time and discuss and rehabilitate ourselves. Everything.
And live.
And live.
Thank you, Dalia, for this sobering comment. Yair, do you want to share last thoughts with the audience?
I think Dalia make it very clear. I am really agree with the part of the you cannot kill an ideology like this. So maybe it's just time to finish the war. Like says in Kohelet Perek Bet, time for war, time for peace. Maybe it will be in 2 years, maybe again, time for war, but right now we need to finish this nightmare. And like Dalia says, we need your support.
Thank you, Yair. Thank you, Dalia. And thank you, Yotam, for opening your hearts and sharing your perspectives. Next week, Jews around the world will sit at the Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah table. In my family, we always leave a spare seat decorated with a yellow ribbon, marking the 48 hostages held in Gaza. Let us come all together and call for bringing all of the hostages back home. Thank you all for joining us today. Our hearts are with all of you and with the rest of the hostages. AJC will continue to fight relentlessly, including coordinating numerous meetings with officials until they all come home. Now I'll pass it to you, Claire, to close the session.
Thank you all for sharing your stories with us, and thank you to our global audience for tuning in to help amplify these messages. AJC maintains that we can support the state of Israel and Israel's right to defense while still advocating fiercely for the return of the hostages. For us, these two priorities exist hand in hand, and this guides our advocacy around the world. To join AJC in urging elected leaders to take action, please visit ajc.org/bringthemhome. AJC remains committed to pushing for the immediate release of all those held by Hamas, and we stand shoulder to shoulder with you in this fight. Thank you again, and goodbye.